Now let's look at the function overloading. Function overloading is static polymorphism. Functions by different operators in calculator. Let's say the division operator is there, 2 integers and 2 decimals. It can be used for 2 integers also. You can divide 2 decimals also. You can use the same the button, the function for different data types. Okay. Similarly, the plus operator is there. You can add 2 integers, 3 integers, 2 decimals, 3 decimals. The same button can be used, same function can be used for for adding 2 or 3 integers. Okay, we'll look at little more detail. Okay, Suresh is asking a question: is polymorphism and inheritance are the same? Okay, polymorphism is object behaves differently with a different set of data. It could be the static time or runtime. Inheritance is accessing the parental properties. Okay, inside inheritance you will look at runtime polymorphism, right? That is what I'm trying to say. Okay, in inheritance, using inheritance you can achieve the runtime polymorphism. Is it okay, Suresh? Is it fine? Yeah. Okay, function overloading. Okay, adding is done using a function. If you did not have the concept of method overloading, then calculator will have to have multiple plus buttons for each task. See, if we want to have for adding 2 integers, you need to have 1 plus button. For 3 integers, you need to have another plus button. Okay, for 2 decimals, okay, you need to have another plus button. You need, for every small operation, you need to have 1 plus button. But here if you look at, only 1 plus button is there, but it can operate on multiple data, 2 integers, 3 integers, decimals. Same function is name has been used, but it performs differently, right? Okay, function overloading, adding is done using a function. If you did not have the concept of method overloading, then the calculator will have multiple plus buttons. Okay, what is function overloading? The function overloading is, it will have the same function name but different in arguments. Okay, that is function overloading. If we have integer x and double x, see, same like a calculator example, right? Same function name is there but performs different action. If I pass integer, it performs the action of square of an integer. If you give double, it will find the square of a double. Okay, so the function name is the same, but the perform operation it does differently. Okay, now let's look at this. Okay, okay, like add button. Okay, let's do addition of 2 numbers. Okay, Siddhartha says, can overloaded functions have different return types and modifiers too? Yes, you can have. That's not a problem. Okay, to differentiate, okay, to differentiate which function name you are calling, the arguments you are passing should be different. If I call the same arguments, it will throw an error for me. See here, if I put it as the same argument, Compiler will not be able to recognize, and at runtime you will not be able to recognize. Here, duplicate method, that error it gives. Okay. Okay. Now let's look at, you can develop that. That's not a problem, Siddhartha. See, if you want, you can make it like this. Here, you can. I have not written static functions yet, but since you asked me, can I make one function, one method as static? Yes, you can make it. Okay, integer. It is taking integer arguments. It is taking a double data. Okay, when I pass integer data, this method is called, that is, if you look at the calculated example, if you pass integer numbers, two numbers, it will add integer way. If you give a double data, then it will add double, which will it will perform adding two floating numbers, floating data numbers, right? It will call this method, but the function name, the plus, is the same, right? That is function overloading. Here we are declaring an object, function overloading, name of the class, f1 is the object, new is the one which is allocating memory. Here I'm taking the scanner classes, I'm printing enter f for the x and y variable, I'm taking the data, okay, and I'm passing f1 dot add x comma y assigned to the result, and system.order. See, I'm adding two integers and displaying. This will call the first function, and I'm taking two double data. I'm calling the function add. Add same function I'm calling. When I pass double data, then it will call this method. This is function overloading, having the same name with difference in arguments, right? Then it returns this data. Okay, right? Let me run this code. Okay, when I run this code, it'll ask me enter two numbers. I'll give 2 and 4. Addition is 6. Enter two double data, 12.12, 24.24. Okay, 36.36 is the addition data. This is function overloading. Let's look at the slides. Okay, so function overloading is not depending on the return data type, It is mainly identified with the arguments. Okay, so in text, it does not take it. Okay, how can it identify which method to call? Because every method performs some role and responsibility. How will it identify, right? So the arguments should be different. So this is a program, the same program what I had given for function overloading.